Shalom, Shalom, Yasharala. Shalom, DC. Shalom, Benji. Ayo, Ak, DC. Do you have a Hebrew name yet? If not, we're gonna have to get you one. Not gonna have to get you a Hebrew name, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this lesson. It says there's about 5 people in here right now, but I got a lot of precepts. So we're gonna go ahead and start in Proverbs 18 and 21. Proverbs 18 and 21. If you want to pull that up. You know what? Let me take my hat off. I know somebody gonna say you're spreading the word with your head covered, right? So first off, I give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. And let's go ahead and jump into this lesson. It's a really important lesson dealing with speech, right? How we're supposed to conduct ourselves in speech, right? So while you pull that up, brother, if anybody can answer, it says there's only about a handful of people in here, but why do y'all think it's so important? Why do you think speech is so important? My first name is Daniel. I don't know it in Hebrew though. Kanak, I'll send you in a little bit the paleo spelling and how to actually write it in paleo after this, right? So Proverbs 18 and 21. So we're going to deal with why speech is so important, first of all, right? This is Proverbs 18 and 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof, right? So it's saying that life and death are in the power of the tongue. What do y'all think that means? Life and death are in the power of the tongue, right? So if you could pull up, Khan, appreciate that, Akia. Khan, no sweat, no sweat. So if you want to pull up Matthew 12 and 36. Matthew 12 and 36. So speech is very important when it comes to us being a chosen people, right? If we're a chosen people and we're supposed to be holy to the Most High, right, then shouldn't we be holy in speech as well, right? So come Matthew 12 and 36. I'm gonna go ahead and the water, there it is. My messages might be, or the comments on my end might be coming in a little bit late because for some reason my connection is always slow. Every time I'm trying to do a lesson, it slows down, right? So this is Matthew 12 and 36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment, right? So we are going to have to give an account of every idle. So what does idle mean? If you're driving a car, right, you could put it in drive, you could put it in reverse, you could put it in neutral or idle, right? It's words that don't really mean anything, right? They're not really taking you forward, they're not really taking you backwards, but it's just words, things that don't need to be said, right? We need to stay away from saying things that don't need to be said, right? That don't profit us anything, that don't edify anybody, right? So I'm gonna read the next verse, actually, verse 37. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned, right? So the things that we say can actually justify us, right? If it's backed by the word of the Most High, right? Because like Romans 3 and 4 says, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar, right? So if we want to be justified in the things that we say, we have to back up what we're saying with the word, or we have to be saying the word, right? So this verse, I'm going to read both verses one more time. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. 37. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned, right? So the things that we say they can condemn us, right? If you read in Matthew and in Mark, it says that all manner of sin shall be forgiven, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, right? I know a brother that not too long ago was blaspheming the Holy Spirit and just going off on the Most High. So this is Romans 3 and 4. Yahweh forbid, let Yahweh be true, but every man a liar. So you have to understand, when someone is giving their own words, their own speech, right, and they can't back it up with the Bible, that's lies. If it's going against the Bible, that is lies. So it says, let Yahweh be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, right? So if you want to be justified in your sayings, what do you have to do? You have to let Yahweh be true, right? As it is written. You're going to come with as it is written. Somebody asks you a question, you're coming with as it is written. You're giving them the word, right? That thou mightest be justified in thy sayings. And that way you are justified in what you're saying. Because if you're saying something that contradicts the Bible, then you are not going to be justified, right? And mightest overcome when thou art judged, right? So if a brother or sister, anybody comes to judge you, right, and you can back up your point or back up why you did something, why you said something with the word, then you are going to be able to overcome it when you're judged, right? But how? Again, only if you're coming with as it is written, right? It says, let Yahweh be true as it is written, so that you could be justified in what you're saying, right? And that you can overcome when you're judged. So going back to Matthew 12 and 37, for by thy words thou shalt be justified. So now it's not saying your own personal words, right? Again, precepting it with Romans 3 and 4, it's by the Most High's words, but that's what's supposed to be coming out of our mouths, right? As a chosen people. And by thy words thou shalt be condemned, right? So if you could pull up Proverbs 21 and 23. Proverbs 21 and 23. See, because you have to understand, a lot of times we get ourselves into trouble, right? So I'm speaking from my own personal experience as well, right? Before I came into the truth, and even when I was new in the truth, I would get myself into a lot of trouble with the things that I would say, right? And I'm sure y'all can all attest to that. We've all gotten ourselves into problems or into troubles because we don't know, or we haven't bridled our tongue, right? We didn't know how to keep our mouth, right, in check. So this is Proverbs 21 and 23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles, right? So you could put this in, you could use anything as an example for this, whether it be talking to someone you're dating or courting, whether it be talking to your wife, to your husband, whether it be talking to your mother, your father, your boss, anybody, right? If you learn how to keep your tongue or control your tongue and your mouth, right, it is going to keep you from a lot of troubles, right? It's going to keep you from a lot of problems. A lot of problems. I'm sure a lot of you brothers, right, were in the world just like we all were before we came into the truth. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was younger, I would get into a lot of fights. And the reason most of the fights would start is just because, I mean, for lack of a better term, people were just talking crap, right? Men just don't know, or young men don't know how to talk to one another, right? And that causes a lot of problems. So whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles, right? So if you could pull up Proverbs 28 and 7, Proverbs 28 and 7, Baba Kashag. So what do we have to do then, right? If it says, whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles, right? Well, what do we have to do in order to keep our soul and ourselves out of getting into trouble? This is what we have to do right here, right? Brother's gonna pull it up right now. Proverbs 28 and 7. And hopefully some of you brothers and sisters that are on here every day, are taking notes, because that's the best way. You're not going to remember every precept by memory, right? And later on you can go back to it, and as you're learning and studying, I recommend you get like a precept book. Just get a notebook, put whatever topic you're studying, and then just write down all the precepts under it, right? And that way, when somebody asks you later, if there's somebody else needs advice, or if you're like, man, what was that precept, you can go back to it later, right? So this is Proverbs 28:7. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son, but he that is a companion of a riotous man shameth his father. So you know what? I think I have the wrong verse there. Let me pull it up real quick. I thought it was 28:7. Let me see. What I wanted was the heart of the wise teacheth his mouth. Let me see. Bear with me 1 second. Let me see. Oh man, I was way off. It's Proverbs 16:23. 16:23. Right? So that's just that's a teaching moment right there. Even me that's been in the truth more than 4 years, and sometimes I think I have precepts down, right? And I don't even have it by memory, right? So don't feel bad if you don't have that many precepts under your belt either, right? So Proverbs 16:23, the heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips, right? So the heart, again, we always talk about this. The heart is the mind. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth. So you're going to have to learn. The more you come into this truth, you're going to have to learn how to teach your mouth, right? How are you going to teach your mouth? By learning this word, right? And addeth learning to his lips. And as you're learning, right, through the process of getting more wisdom, more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you're going to add learning to your lips. More and more wisdom should be coming out of your mouth, right? It's like Yahushua said in the book of John. He said, he who believeth on me, as the scriptures say, out of his mouth shall pour waters of, or shall pour living waters, right? Which is the word, the waters, the doctrine, right? So the heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. Okay, so now let's talk about why we as Israelites, right? Personally, I'm not speaking for anybody else, any other nations, or even Israelites that are not in the truth, trying to live by the truth, right? If you could pull up Romans 3:1, and I believe verse 2 as well. Romans 3:1 and 2. So we as Israelites, right, as a chosen people, are supposed to be the oracles of the Most High, right? And Leviticus 20:24 says that we're supposed to be holy like the Most High is holy, right? So as oracles, we're supposed to speak in a way that would be acceptable to the Most High, right? So let me read this real quick. John 7:38. He that believeth on me, as the scriptures hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water, right? So that goes along with this previous verse. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips, right? So all of these precepts, you can, hopefully you have your Bible in front of you, or you're taking notes like I said, and later on you can put these precepts, go to Proverbs 16:23. Next to it, put a precept, John 7:38, right? He that believeth on me, this is Yahushua speaking, as the scriptures have said, out of his belly, air comes from our bellies, right? So our speech is actually coming. Without breath, we can't speak. So out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water, right? And for anybody who knows what the living waters is, that's this doctrine, right? So let's go to Romans 3:1. What advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of the circumcision, right? So what does it profit you to be an Israelite, right? What profit is it to be circumcised in your heart, in your mind, right? Verse 2, much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High, right? The oracles of the Most High are committed to who, right? To the Jew, right? And Jew is just a nickname for Israel, right? It started with tribe of Judah, right? So short would be Jew. So they started calling them the Jews, right? But this name started being pushed off on all Israelites, right? So what advantage is it to be an Israelite is what it's saying. It says much every way, right? Chiefly, mainly because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High, right? So if you look up an oracle, right, an oracle is a priest or priestess. If you look up the definition, acting as a medium, right, through somebody. So if in this context, it's as the oracles of the Most High, right? That's who the oracles of the Most High, which are all the prophets in the word, right? Whether it be Jeremiah, whether it be all the kings, whether it be David, whether it be Solomon, Paul, all of those oracles of the Most High. And now today in these last days, all the brothers that are pushing the truth, right? Those oracles are committed to Israel, right? So if we are oracles of the Most High, we are speaking for the Most High, right? We are to carry ourselves and speak in a certain manner, right? Which brings us to 1 Peter 4 and 11. If you could pull that up, Ak. 1 Peter 4 and 11. You know what? I'm gonna get the definition of oracle real quick for y'all. So I'm not gonna pull it up on the screen just because every time I try and pull something up, it slows down the connection. It gets real choppy. But so this is the oracle, the definition of oracle, right? Let me pull it up. If it'll pop up. Yes, it's my computer slows down every time I'm on this. Every time I'm trying to do a lesson. Let me just an oracle is basically someone who speaks for someone else, right? So the oracles of the Most High is those speaking for the Most High, right? Which are the prophets, the servants, the ministers of the Most High. So anytime you're bringing out the word, you are actually an oracle for the Most High. And those oracles are committed to who? One more time, like I said, the Jews or the Israelites, right? So this is 1 Peter. What's Salakia? Oh, Tawara Ak. So look, the Ak pulled it up already. Tawara, appreciate that. A priest or priestess acting as a medium, Khan, exactly. Acting as a medium through whom advice or prophecy was sought from the gods in classical antiquity, right? So it says gods because in classical antiquity it just means in old times, right? So if you think about the Greeks, how many gods did they have, right? The Romans and the Egyptians, all these other people, that is classical antiquity, right? Old times. So it says gods, but in this context, we know there's only one the most high God, which is Yahweh, right? And a priest or priestess acting as a medium through whom advice or prophecy was sought. So from the Most High in this context, right? So anybody that was speaking, so we know that in these times we don't even know 100% which tribe everybody's from, right? Of course, Certain people go by the tribe chart. Certain people don't go by the tribe chart, which is fine. I'm not going to even get into that right now. But we don't know 100%. Okay, this guy is a Levite, which was the priest, right? So anybody pushing this word right now, pushing it from the word, right, is an oracle of the Most High. So let's go to 1 Peter 4:11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of the Most High. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability, Salakia, which the Most High giveth, that the Most High in all things may be glorified through Hamashiach Yahushai. Right? So if any man is to speak, you are supposed to speak as an oracle of the Most High. So what does that mean? You are supposed to speak again as giving a message from Yahweh, right? So if somebody comes to you for advice, right? If somebody comes to you, hey, this is going on in my life. What do you think I should do? You are to speak as an oracle of Yahweh. In other words, you are supposed to give them the Most High's word as an answer, right? If any man minister, what is a minister? It's a servant, right? Let him do it as of the ability which Yahweh giveth. So you do it to your best ability. Okay. So now let's think about it this way. If you're new to the truth and you don't know how to answer a certain question, right, with scriptures, then it's a good idea to not answer. Just tell them, you know what, I don't have the information, but I can try and get it for you, or I can refer you to this brother who's been in the truth longer, right? If it's not of your ability at the moment, right? And that's why the scriptures say we're to study to answer, right? Or we learned for them that seek learning, or something to that effect. That to we learn so that we can help others, right? So if your ability, which the Most High has given you so far, isn't up to par, so to speak, with being an oracle for him on a certain matter, right? If you're going to judge a certain matter and you don't know exactly how to yet, then don't do it. You should refer to somebody else, right? Which I've done as well in the past, right? So that Yahweh in all things may be glorified through Hamashiach Yahushai. So we are doing it. So if let's say, for example, you're being an oracle, you give advice or you give counsel from the word, right? That's the Most High's word. So we can't take credit for that, right? So it says that Yahweh in all things may be glorified, right? Through Hamashiach Yahushai, which is like saying Ba'asham Yahushai. So it's saying you are glorifying the Most High by being an oracle to others, giving them his word, right? That's what it's saying. So if any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Yahweh, right? If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Yahweh giveth, right? That Yahweh in all things may be glorified by Hashem Hamashiach Yahushai. So let me see. Proverbs, the water ox. So he pulled this up. Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer. So we are the heart, right? Again, going back to the mind. Your heart, your physical heart is just a muscle pumping blood, right? It can't study, it can't answer people. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer. All right. So it's not we're not just studying for ourselves, right? We're studying for others as well. But the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. And this is another reason why, I don't know, maybe some of y'all saw that post that I made. It was early this morning, that said you can't be taking advice from people who are not giving you advice from the word of the Most High, right? Because it's not going to be profitable to you. I even see a lot of so-called Israelite pages or woke pages, right? Like they like to call it. I don't even like to use that term, but they'll call them woke pages, right? And Israelites that are claiming to be in the truth are reposting all of these worldly advice, right? All this worldly advice, and it can't be backed up with scriptures. A lot of it actually contradicts the scriptures, right? So we as oracles of the Most High need to realize that we need to be just that. And you're not an oracle of the Most High if you're not giving his word, right? Like we read in Romans 3 and 4, right? Like, let the Most High be true and every man a liar. If you want to be justified in the things that you're saying, then you have to let the Most High be true and use his word with everything that you're saying, right? So if you could give me Ephesians 4 and 22 and 23. Ephesians 4, 22 and 23. Baba Kasha'ak. You know what? I think I got a precept on that as well. Khan. Got a good precept for that one as well. So we all spoke a certain way out in the world, right? We all spoke differently than we should be speaking now. So, and then if you could also count the water. So if you could pull up Titus 1, 10 and 11. Titus 1, 10 and 11. So this is Ephesians 4 and 22. That ye put off concerning the former conversation of the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lusts. Right? So that ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, right? There's an old man or woman when you've came into this truth, and you're once you hit a certain point in time, right? And I'm even gonna go as far as saying once you get baptized as well, of course, you become a new person, right? You become a new person once you get baptized. But even before that, like me personally, I was in the truth for maybe, or I was in the knowledge of the truth for maybe 2.5 years before I even got baptized, right? And I obtained a lot of wisdom from the Most High in that period of time. And I realized that that old man, amen, that old man is corrupt according to all those lusts, right? And now when I say lust, everybody automatically, their mind goes to thinking sexual, but it can also be, I mean, all the lusts of the flesh, whether it be fornication, whether it be smoking weed, whether it be being a drunkard, whether it be, the list goes on and on and on, right? An idolater, a reveler, whatever it is, right? We have to put off the former conversation. When you come into the knowledge of the truth and you realize, you know what, I have to carry myself a different way. I have to, as an oracle of the Most High now, as someone who claims to be living in the truth, your old conversation has to be different from the new conversation, right? So this is verse 23. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Right, I'm gonna read that all together. That ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man. We have to put off that old conversation, put off that old man, that old woman, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lusts. Right? You can't follow all your old deceitful lusts and follow the Most High at the same time. You got to put them off. And verse 23, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. So your mind has to go through a renewing process. How do you do that? Through the word, right? Like it says in Psalm 119, it says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way, by taking heed thereunto the word, right? Once you get more and more of the word locked in your mind, your conversation is going to change. You're going to start changing as a person, right? Because if you think about it, everything that we learned in our old speech, because I know me personally, with the worldly people that I used to hang out with, it was mother this and that and you piece of shit, and all the Spanish. In Spanish, man, there's even more bad words, even worse words than we use in English, in my opinion, right? So we learned that over a process of time, right? And that's why we have to renew our minds, right? We have to renew our minds through the word. The more of the word we get in our mind, the more our spirit of our mind is going to change and our conversation is going to change, right? So this is Titus 1:10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. So now we have to understand that Israelites, they of the circumcision is talking about Israel, right? There are many unruly, right, and vain talkers and deceivers, unruly. So we have to learn how to rule our spirits, right? We have to learn how to bridle our tongues, like we saw already. We have to control the things, add knowledge to our lips, right? We can't be unruly. We have to rule the way we speak. And vain talkers, what is vain? It is, if you really look into the Hebrew, it means breathly, right? It means worldly. It's unprofitable. It's not kingdom speak, kingdom talking, right? It's not going to profit you nothing. And deceivers, and we can't be deceitful with our speech, especially they of the circumcision, right? Verse 11. Actually, Ak, if you could pull up, what is it? I believe it's, we just want Ephesians 4, Ephesians 5, and I think it's 4. Ephesians 5 and 4. So this is Titus 1 and 11, whose mouths must be stopped, right? So what kind of mouths must be stopped? Verse 10, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake, right? So there's many people that speak things that are vain, that are unprofitable, right? That are, like it says here, unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, right? And their mouths need to be stopped because they subvert whole houses of people, whether it be a whole physical family, right? We read about how one person can make a whole bunch of people go off, right? Just by hanging around certain people. In the last lesson, when we were talking about courting and talking about friendship and all of these things, right? A whole house can be subverted, whether it be a so-called camp or church or an actual home, right? Teaching things that they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake, right? If you look up lucre, or filthy is understandable, right? Filthy, and then lucre's sake, it means either money or profit. They're trying to profit in some way or another, whether it be financially or whether it be another way, right? So this is Ephesians 5 and 4. Pancakes and syrup. I wish I could stay. I'm in another time zone. Good night, everyone. I'll watch this in the morning. So yeah, shalom, shalom. So Ephesians 5 and 4. Neither filthiness nor foolish talking nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks, right? So these are things that we're not supposed to be saying, right? If you could pull up 1 Corinthians 10 and 23. I believe I have this as a precept in mine as well, in my Bible. Let me see. 10. 1 Corinthians 10 and 23. So we have to let that filthiness, right? That foolish talking, jesting is like joking around, right? Which I'm not saying don't joke around, but there's a time and a place for everything. Like it says in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, right? There's a time and a place for everything, right? And the time and the place to be joking around is not when you're bringing out the word. It's not when there's eyes on you, right? You got to understand that us as a chosen people, as we saw with the whole situation from the Passover, if anybody that claims to be a Hebrew Israelite messes up, is the light is going to be shined on it, man. Whether it be, and I'm not even talking just about the whole incident that happened. If you say something and you're on camera and you're claiming to be a Hebrew Israelite and you even have a small following, or you have anybody, they're gonna have eyes on you, and they're gonna nitpick, and they're they're going to try and make us look bad, man, because they know that we are the chosen people of the Most High, and they know we're supposed to conduct ourselves and speak in a manner that is not like the rest of the world, right? So neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, right? These things aren't convenient for us and for our people. And that's why brother Yawal from Sons of Thunder, I noticed, well, back when I used to watch him consistently, he would always say at camp, when they would start laughing and joking around and stuff, and be like, hey, no folly, right? And he would make everybody calm down. No jesting, like no foolishness, right? No folly. And then I definitely I respect that, because the word is a serious thing, right? But rather giving of thanks, right? So let's go to 1 Corinthians 10 and 23. All things are lawful for me. So now some people are going to say, well, talking like this or talking like that is not it's not a sin, right? It's not a sin to say F this and F that and you piece of whatever, right? But you have to understand that this isn't expedient, right? All things are lawful for me. Anything that's not against the laws, right? It's you're technically not sinning, right? But all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not, right? So not everything teaches. Like, what are you going to teach somebody by cussing all the time consistently, and you're trying to break down precepts or trying to break down whatever topic it is, right? It's not going to profit anything. It's not going to edify more saying F this, F that, whatever. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will say that, well, you know what, it's not a sin and this, that, and the other. But like we just read in 1 Peter 4 and 11, if we are the oracles of the Most High, right, then we have to conduct ourselves and speak in a more eloquent manner, right? Which brings us to if you could pull up Sirach 44, I'm going to go 1 probably through 4. Sirach chapter 44, verse 1 through 4. So let's take a look at some examples of how the men of old, right, Solomon and Moses, or all these other men, that David, that had rule back in the day, how did they speak, right? The famous forefathers, right? So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 44 and verse 1. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. So it's going to talk about, like I mentioned, whether it be David, Solomon, right? Verse 2, Yahweh hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning, right? So this is the men of old, the renowned men of old, right? From the beginning, right? The fathers that begat us. And notice it says, Yahweh hath wrought great glory by them. How did he get great glory by them? Right? When anybody or any brothers or anybody is bringing out the word and somebody feels it, like, man, I know that's the Most High's word. Like, that's true. That makes me want to change. That puts a spirit on me to repent. That puts a spirit on me to want to follow this, because I know it's the truth, right? And then they tell the brother, thank you, and he says, you know what? All praise to the Most High, man. That's his word. That is giving glory to the Most High, right? And this is the same thing, like it says here, since the beginning, these men have been doing, right? Verse 3, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power. So these kings, a king isn't a king without his kingdom, right? So now we always say, oh, Shalom, King Shalom, Malak, right? We are supposed to be the kings of the earth. But until we're in the kingdom, we're really not at that level yet, right? We are the kings, supposed to be the kings of the earth. But until Yahweh Shai comes back and puts us in rulership under him, under the Most High, that is when we're going to really be kings and have the kingdom, right? So such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power. These were powerful men, right? These are men that we should be striving to be like, because they were striving to follow the Most High, right? Giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies, right? So these powerful men that ruled their kingdoms, how did they do it? By giving counsel. How did they give counsel? By their understanding of what? Of the word of the Most High, right? And declaring prophecies. So they were giving counsel from the word, right? And they were declaring prophecies. Oh, this prophecy says this and it's coming to pass here, right? Verse 44. Leaders of the people by their counsels. Okay. So now there's certain leaders, okay, which I won't even say any names or nothing. There's certain people that are considered leaders that will refuse to counsel certain people. And I've had a lot of we'll say multiple brothers and sisters come and tell me, well, you know what, I reached out to so and so and they won't even get back to me. They'll leave me on red. And it's just a real serious issue, this, that, and the other, right? And I'm just speaking for myself, saying that if you are going to be a real leader, a leader of the people, you need to be able to give counsel, right, with the word of the Most High. So it says leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, right? And they've learned a lot of knowledge from the Most High. They can give counsel, and it's meet or good for the people. Wise and eloquent are their instructions. Okay, so when we are speaking, when we are bringing out the word, it is, if we want to be like our forefathers, if we want to be like the ones that gave glory to the Most High, right? We want to do that. We have to be wise and eloquent with our instructions. Now, there's nothing eloquent about saying, about bringing out a scripture and then, yeah, mother, this and that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing eloquent about that. Like we were talking about yesterday on the live. If you think about it, the kings of the earth today, you think they're just going back and forth, just cussing all the time to each other. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not even, they're not even living biblical, but they conduct themselves in an eloquent manner, right? They conduct themselves with enough knowledge to know that in rulership positions, you have to be eloquent and wise with the way that you speak, right? So if you could pull up Sirach 4:29, Sirach 4:29, and then we'll go to Colossians 4:6. But yeah, let me read a precept real quick. It's Leviticus 20 and 26. Leviticus, this is Leviticus 20 and 26. But if you could pull up Colossians 4 and 6, and then James 5 and 12, Baba Kashah. Right, so this is Leviticus, and this is in the law, right? Leviticus 20 and 26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, Yahweh, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye shall be mine. Right? So it says, and ye shall be holy unto me. So if you look up holy in the Hebrew, it's going to say something like sanctified or set apart, right? We have to be set apart even in our speech, right? If you think that Yahushua is going to come back and be just cussing all the time, right? And he's not going to be speaking eloquent parables, then you're sadly mistaken, right? That's exactly how he's going to be speaking all wisdom, right? Very eloquently. So as us following his example, that's how we should be striving to speak as well, right? So Ephesians 4 and 26. Salakia, did I scroll? Let's see. Ecclesiasticus. Okay, Tawada. Did I say Ephesians? Salakia, if I said Ephesians, it's actually Colossians 4 and 6. Colossians 4 and 6. But I'll read this one first. So this is Sirach 4 and 29. Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. So we went over this one the other day as well when it came to courting and friendships, right? Be not hasty, and we were saying in your deeds, like don't be too hasty to accept somebody and just trust them and all right, let's get married, or you know what, I'm going to tell this person all my secrets, they're my best friend, whatever, right? But also be not hasty in thy tongue. Okay, a lot of times, and actually that Ephesians 4:26 goes perfect with this, right? A lot of times when we're too hasty in our speech, it's when we are angry, right? Which that I don't know if I accidentally said Ephesians 4:26 or you just pulled that up, but through the Spirit, that's a perfect precept. Ephesians 4:26. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, right? Let's just look at the first part. Be ye angry and sin not. So now who in the chat, let me see. It says there's 8 people. It's never accurate though. How has any of y'all ever been angry, right? You were angry, and so you were too hasty to speak, like it says here. Be not hasty in thy tongue. And then you said something and you regretted it, right? Because you were too quick to speak. You were angry, like it says in Ephesians 4:26. Be ye angry and sin not. And then because of that, you said something that you regretted, right? I'm sure that's happened to all of us, right? So be not hasty in thy tongue. We can't be hasty in the things that we say, right? So the comments, DC, Salaki, I thought you said Ephesians. It's all good, Ak. It's all good. That was through the Spirit. That was the Most High giving the perfect precept, right? I don't know if I said it or if I said it wrong or you heard it wrong, but that's perfect precept. So AFE class, yes. Paxis, Khan. So yeah, this has happened to all of us. Everybody's done this. Whether you admit it right now or not, everybody has done this, right? So let's go to, let's read it one more time. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. So a lot of times you're angry and it causes you to sin. You're angry and it causes you to disrespect your parents, right? And as we went over, that's a serious thing. You're supposed to honor your parents, right? Or it makes you dishonor or say something bad to your friend or to your husband or wife or whoever it is, right? Or it causes you to, you know what, I'm just pissed off, I'm going to do something else, and it causes you to sin, right? So it says, be not hasty in thy tongue. You always need to think before you speak, right? Unless you already know exactly what you are going to say. So this is Colossians 4:6. Let your speech be always, or always, which means always, with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man, right? So you have to know how to answer every man. Okay. So I was actually just talking to a sister about this. If you could pull up Jude, I believe it's 2. Well, there's only one chapter, right? I believe it's verse 20, 21, and 22. Let me check real quick. It says, ye ought to know how to answer every man, right? If you could pull up Jude 1:22 and 23. Jude 1:22 and 23, right? So let your speech be always with grace, right? When you see someone, let's see, what's a sport? I know probably most of y'all don't watch jujitsu or maybe not MMA, but like say it's dancing, right? Or what is it called? Skating, ice skating, right? You can tell when someone's graceful, right? Like they're smooth the way they're doing things, right? For me, the perfect example is like when you see a fighter and he knows how to fight and he's just smooth, right? He just at the right moment. That's they're graceful in the things that they do, right? So this says, let your speech be always with grace. Okay. So this could also mean grace, like from the Most High. With Yahushua came grace, right? We need to realize that our people have grace, right? So let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, right? So we know that Israel is the salt of the earth, right? So we're not just going to, like, let me say, for example, I'm reading this, right? Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt. That might be how an Edomite will read it, right? With no salt. We have emotion, and we have salt with the way we do things and speak, right? That ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. So this is a very important thing. You need to realize that when everybody is different, right? Some people you need to be more patient with them because they are not intellectually on the level you're on, right? Now, I'm not saying dumb it down for them, but I'm saying you need to be more patient with them. Some people, you need to be more firm with them. Some people, you need to be more, how would you say, show more compassion, like it's going to say right here in this verse. So let me give you an example. This is Jude 1 and 22. And of some have compassion, making a difference, right? So some people need to hear certain things like, hey, there's not going to be no more pain in the kingdom. There's going to be no more crying, no more death, right? And that's going to make a difference, and that's going to make them want to follow the Most High, right? Then verse 23, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh, right? So some people you got to save with compassion, right? Some people you have to save with fear, right? Pulling them out of the fire. So me personally, I know that Hosea 4 and 6, if you want to pull that up, Baba Kashag, Hosea 4 and 6, where it says, if you forget the law of the Most High, he will forget your children. I know that has made a lot of people that I know personally in fear of the Most High, right? He was like, you know what? The Most High is going to forget my children if I forget to keep his laws. And that's one way that you could pull some people in, right? But some, they need to have compassion, like it says here. But the point of this is, going back to Colossians 4 and 6. Let me scroll up. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. So knowing how you're going to answer a man or a woman or a certain person is going to come with discernment, right? So that's definitely something that is a gift from the Most High, right? So let me go through the comments real quick. Chosen one, Shalom, Mark, Shalom. Sirach 6 and 34, stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise. So Khan, that's a good precept, right? Tobit 4 and 18, ask counsel of all that are wise and despise not any counsel that is profitable. Khan, so that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If somebody is wise, right, you should be trying to get counsel from them. If you know they know a lot of the word and you have nobody else to go to, then this is the person that maybe the Most High set up to ask you, or to for you to ask and get counsel from his word for you, right? There was a sister earlier that actually I hadn't talked to her in probably months, and she was going through some things, and I sent her maybe 3 or 4 verses, and she was like, you know what, the Most High put it on my spirit to get counsel from you, and that was exactly what I needed to hear, right? And I was like, all praise to the Most High, man. That it was, the verses were actually right. I heard a situation, boom, popped up the verses, sent them to her, and it helped her out, right? So going back to let me scroll back up. I'll get back to the comments right now in a minute. Where is it at? Colossians 4 and 6, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man, right? So obviously you're going to answer with the word of the Most High, right? Some people need to hear, some people need that compassion, like it says in Jude 1 and 22. Some need, others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, right? I'm going to scare this person so bad with the word, of course, right? And it's not really us that's scaring you. It's just us bringing out the precepts that the Most High put on our spirit to bring out for you, right? Because like Isaiah 55 and 11 says that the word, when the Most High sends a word out, It's going to accomplish what he wants it to accomplish, right? It never comes back void to him. So pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh. So this was one of the verses that I would personally use for people that I actually knew and had kids. Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, right? Everybody knows that part. Everybody knows that part. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I also will reject thee. Now think about this. If you reject knowledge, right? It's like Proverbs 15:10 says, if you reject correction, or he that hateth reproof shall die, right? It's not reproof from me or from another brother or from a sister or whoever. It's from the word, right? If someone gives you the word and you're rejecting that, guess what? The Most High saying he's going to reject you too, right? Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I also will forget thy children, right? So let me go back to the comments real quick, and then we'll get back into it. Chosen one, 2nd Ezra 12:38, and teach them to the wise of the people, whose hearts thou knowest may comprehend and keep these secrets. So here's this will go more along later on in the lesson, when they get like examples of when to speak and when not to speak, right? So this will go along with that. Some people, they don't want to hear it, man, and they'll make it very clear, so you don't even waste your time or your energy. It's like Titus, in Titus it says, after the second admonition of someone being a reprobate, you just, that's it. After the second time, unless they come back to you. That's how I skate with grace. Khan, most definitely. So let me read this real quick. Salakia. Proverbs 15:10. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Right? So if you could pull up James 5:12, Baba Kasha, and then we'll get into a few examples of when to speak and when not to speak. Right? Because there is certain situations where it's not going to be profitable to speak, but more often than not, it's going to be profitable for you to speak, right? So another thing, though, I'm going to go ahead and cover real quick, James 5:12, and then if you could pull up Sirach 4:23 through 25. Sirach 4:23 through 25. So this is James 5:12. So I know a brother that he had a problem with this for a little amount of time that he was struggling with. So I'm just gonna bring this out real quick. James 5:12. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath. But let your yea be yea, and your nay, nay, lest ye fall into condemnation. Right? So above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath. You're not supposed to swear on certain things, right? Not I swear to the Most High, or I swear to whatever, swear on this, swear on that, or I promise on this, right? But let your yea be yea, and your nay, nay. In other words, give people a straight answer when you're talking, right? Don't try and play the middle. It's like we read yesterday as well, how the Most High wants you either hot or cold, right? He doesn't like you being lukewarm. So even in our speech, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay, right? Lest ye fall into condemnation. So don't swear on anything. Just let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Yes or no. Give a straight answer, right? And if you don't know, then say that as well, right? So if you don't do this, lest ye fall into condemnation, you might fall into being condemned for something, being guilty of something, right? So let's jump into Sirach. And this is Sirach 4:23. And refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good, and hide not thy wisdom in her beauty, right? So don't refrain to speak. And you know what? There's many brothers that have told me this, right? And this has happened to me as well. Have any of y'all had that certain position, you've been put in that position, or that certain time where you know, like, man, I could say this from the word, or this precept fits perfect with this situation, or I should talk to this person right now, right? And then you don't do it, and you feel like you had the wisdom to help them out, right? Or if you would have been like, hey, you know, this Bible verse says this, even if you didn't know it by memory, right? You were like, man, I could pull this out, and that's a perfect verse for that, but you don't do it. That's what this is saying, right? Don't let yourself fall into that. And refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good, and hide not thy wisdom in her beauty, right? So it's saying that wisdom is beautiful, right? You don't need to hide wisdom, right? Don't refrain, don't hold yourself back from speaking when there's an occasion to speak, right? So let's read verse 24. For by speech wisdom shall be known, and learning by the word of the tongue. So by a speech, right, wisdom is known. When we speak wisdom, it becomes known, right? There's certain people, not everybody has the same amount of wisdom and knowledge as you, right? Maybe you have the opportunity to speak the Most High's word and speak that wisdom onto somebody, and now it is known by them, right? And learning by the word of the tongue, right? So we are to speak when we have the occasion to do good. When you know there's an opportunity to help somebody, to give somebody counsel, or if you just feel like the Most High put the Spirit on you to give them some wisdom, then let it be known, right? Don't hide it. Verse 25. In no wise speak against the truth, but be abashed of the error of thine ignorance. So now, in no wise, in no way speak against the truth, right? You have to make sure what you're saying is not going against the truth. You have to make sure that what you're saying lines up with the truth, right? This is a thing, like I talked about earlier. There's a lot of people that claim to be in the truth and are Israelites and this, that, and the other, and they give advice every single day, and there's not one Bible verse there to back it up, right? There's not one Bible verse in any of their so-called advice, right? That's not going to be profitable. That's not going to help anybody. Some of it even contradicts what the word actually says that you're supposed to do, right? So you have to make sure that you are not contradicting or speaking against the truth, right? But be abashed. Abashed is like to be what is it called? You become red cheeked, and you become what's the word? When you become not ashamed, but like when someone compliments you and you blush, right? That's the word I'm looking for. But be abashed. You should be embarrassed or like almost blushing because the error of your ignorance, right? And this has happened to many brothers, where brothers say certain things that I've seen personally, right? They say certain things and then they get corrected with the word, and then guess what? They're abashed, they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, right? DC 97, Khan, Jake loves saying on God, right? That's true. I didn't even think about that. A lot of Malak Kanawath, the water, bashful. Exactly. Bashful. That's the word I'm looking for. Abashed, bashful, right? Seems simple. I was just at a loss for words. The water, bashful. So Khan, Jake loves saying on God. That's crazy, because all the time, right? On God, on my mama, right? They love saying that. So it literally says not to swear on anything. James 5 and 12, right? Neither by any oath. And if you think about it as well, in the army, I don't know if any of y'all were in any of the armed forces. When I was 17, I signed up for the Army Reserve, right? And the first thing they make you do when you're coming into the army is do what? You swear an oath, right? It's crazy. You swear an oath to get into the army. The first thing they make you do is go against the Most High's word, right? So if you could get Sirach 41 and 15. Sirach 41 and 15. And Proverbs 29 and 11. Proverbs 29 and 11. Sirach 41:15, Proverbs 29 and 11. So I'm gonna go through the comments real quick. Chosen one, Proverbs 9 and 8. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Right? So, Khan, that's true. When you're reproving, in certain instances, it is necessary to reprove a scorner. As a matter of fact, chosen one, if you want to pull up a verse for me, there's a good precept for that. If you could get Proverbs 29 and 25. Proverbs 29 and 25. So it says, reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Right? When you reprove someone who's always scornful, who's always scorning you, who's always, like going against the word, just going against it, right? They're not gonna love that, right? They're gonna hate that, right? They're gonna hate that the fact that you are trying to reprove them, especially when you're trying to reprove them with the word, right? But rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. He will love you. Why? Because you are correcting him. You are correcting him from the sin that he is in. You are like it says in Leviticus 19, right? You're supposed to love your neighbor and in any wise rebuke him as to not suffer sin upon him, right? You're trying to get him out of that sin, right? So reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. But now, did someone pull up? Let me see. Proverbs 29 and 25. It doesn't look like. If one of y'all could pull up Proverbs 29 and 25 real quick, just to go along with this verse. Proverbs 29 and verse 25. Because it says, reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Right? But if you think about it this way, sometimes you have to reprove a scorner to make a point, right? Because one scorner, like what did we learn in that lesson the other day about friends? Birds of a feather flock together, right? Sometimes when one scorner comes along and you don't reprove him, this is what's going to happen. It's going to open up the floodgates, and a bunch of other scorners are going to come along and just go even harder, right? Proverbs 29 and 25. Tawada, I appreciate that. So, the fear of man bringeth the snare, but whoso putteth his trust in Yahweh shall be safe. See, so I got another precept wrong. What I'm looking for is smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, right? Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware. Let me pull it up real quick. Smite a scorner. It's 19 and 25. Salakia. I got it right here, though. Let me read it. So this is Proverbs 19 and 25. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, right? Sometimes if you got a scorner, right? If you got a scorner, the water again, pulling that up. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware. Sometimes you've got to just smite them with the word, man. You got to just, sometimes people come on your page, or even if you're out teaching at a camp, right? We had this happen one time, and you can only ignore it for so long. You can only not reprove them for so long, right? Because if not, then guess what? A bunch of other simple people are going to come along, and they're going to try and go against the word as well. So sometimes you just got to cut a scorner down with the word, right? You got to let them have it. Just prove them wrong with the Most High's word. Let God be true and every man a liar, right? So smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that hath understanding, and he will understand knowledge. Right? So when you reprove certain people, if they have knowledge, they're gonna understand that you're coming from the right spirit, and they're gonna understand that, man, and they're gonna gain knowledge off of it. And you know what? Failure and correction is one of the best teachers. I can tell you that from experience. And like I always say, I like to give real world examples when it comes to like martial arts. Failure or correction in martial arts, if you do something wrong and let's say you get choked, right, and then you got to tap out to it, it's like you're gonna remember that. You're gonna remember, you know what, next time I'm not putting my arm here because they're gonna take my arm and I'm gonna get armbarred, right? I'm not gonna put my head in like that because I'm gonna get choked. It's the same concept when it comes to this truth. When you get reproved, when you do something that's wrong and somebody comes along and corrects you with the word, you're gonna be like, all right, I messed up there. I'm not gonna do that anymore, right? So let's keep going with the lesson. Where were we at? Let me go back up on the comments. You see, Sirach 41 and 15. A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth wisdom, right? So if you don't know what to say, let's say that, for example, if you don't know what to say in a certain situation and there's other brothers there, or there's somebody who has more wisdom than you, and you can't bring out a precept, for example, or there's a sister or a brother or something, and what you're going to say is not according to the word because you have nothing to back it up with, right? Then it's better to hide what you would normally say. Everybody, your natural instinct is to listen, to answer, right? That's everybody's natural instinct until you train yourself to do differently, right? A lot of people listen to answer. So when you hear something, you are already thinking in your head what you are going to answer, right? And if you don't have wisdom to answer that, if you don't have precepts to answer that, then what you are going to say more than likely should not be said, right? It's foolishness. So it's better to hide that. Just don't say anything, right? Is then a man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth wisdom. Going back to what we we're saying, when you hide wisdom, why would you hide wisdom? It's a beautiful thing, right? If there's an occasion to do good with your wisdom, you're supposed to do it. So a man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hides his wisdom. So if we got me that's been in the truth 4 years, right? And then you have another brother that's fresh in the truth, right? And he doesn't know what to say. Something just popped up in his head. Let's say a brother asks a question, right? And it's me and this brother that's barely been in the truth. And I know exactly what to say, right? I got like 3 precepts in my head. Oh, I can say this, I can say that, I can say this. But I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna hide my wisdom, right? The brother next to me who doesn't know what to say, it at that point is better than me having that wisdom, right? Because what's the point of the Most High giving me wisdom, right? And I'm just gonna hide it. I'm not even gonna use it to do good for my brother or for my sister, right? Which brings us to the next verse, Proverbs 29 and 11. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards, right? So now this, man, I learned to apply this when I was fresh in the truth, right? A lot of times people want to argue with you, okay? If somebody is angry, more often than not, they're not going to have a civilized conversation with you, right? So you can let them utter their whole mind, let them say whatever it is they want to say. And then if you have that wisdom, say you have one verse that just completely destroys their conversation, completely destroys their whole argument. Just let them say what they need to say, right? Use wisdom. And like it says here, a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. Just wait, let them utter their whole mind, right? And once they utter their whole mind, then you can go ahead and speak that wisdom, right? So let me go back up on the comments. Let me see. It's a lot of comments. Chosen one. That's a lot of precepts. I don't think I'm gonna go through all of them just because. Let me see. I've already been on here what, an hour and 20 minutes. We're probably only halfway done with the. I got a lot more precepts, but you know what? Let me go through these real quick. BP619, keep it up, brother. Khan, all praise to the Most High. Losing fire burning. Loaded. Khan, so if you could bring up 2 Corinthians 4 and 13. 2 Corinthians 4 and 13. And then you know what? I'm probably just gonna go over a couple more precepts. I didn't realize it's already what? It's about to be 12. I got something I gotta do in a few minutes. But Khan, if you could bring up 2 Corinthians 20 so like it's 2 Corinthians 4 and 13, and then Isaiah 58 and 1, which I'm sure all of you brothers are familiar with. Isaiah 58 and 1, Baba Kasha. So this is 2 Corinthians 4 and 13. We having the same spirit of faith, according as it is written, I believed, right? And therefore have I spoken. We also believe, and therefore we speak, right? So if you could also pull up Isaiah 30 and 10, Isaiah 30 and 10. So 2 Corinthians 4 and 13, one more time. We having the same spirit of faith, right? We have to have faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please Yahweh, right? That's Hebrews, the 11th chapter. Without faith, it's impossible to please the Most High. We having the same spirit of faith. If you are on this live right now, the majority of us probably have that same spirit of faith. We believe in the Most High. We want to follow the Most High, right? We are trying to learn about the Most High so that we can apply His word, right? We wouldn't do that if we didn't have faith, right? I had somebody the other day ask me, and I mean, I shouldn't even be laughing about it, but somebody asked me, if the whole duty of man, right, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, the whole duty of man is to fear the Most High and keep His commandments. They said, so then we don't have to have faith. We just got to fear Him and keep His commandments. And you know, it sounded like a simple question, but I could see where they're coming from, right? If I'm not sure how long the brother's been in the truth, but you have to understand, you are not going to fear somebody. You're not going to fear the Most High, right? If you don't believe He exists, right? You have to have faith in order to even believe He exists to fear Him, right? You have to have faith that He exists to keep His commandments, right? It's like if your parents tell you something to do, you know they're real. You have faith. They're going to whoop your behind if you don't listen to what they say, right? So faith, without faith, it is impossible to please Him. We having the spirit of faith, according as it is written, right? According as it is written, I believed. Okay, we believe what is written in the word, right? And therefore have I spoken. So we believe, have faith according to what is written in the word, right? And we believe that. And because we believe in that, therefore have I spoke. Therefore we speak this word, right? Which goes back to like our forefathers, like it said in Sirach, the 44th chapter, right? They spoke eloquently with knowledge and wisdom. They had counsel that was meat for the people, that was good for the people. Why? Because they were using according as it was written, right? I'm gonna read it one more time. We having the same spirit of faith, according as it is written, I believed, and therefore have I spoken. we also believe and therefore speak. So right now, me personally, right, I believe according as it is written, right, and therefore I am speaking right now, now looking from y'all's perspective, the viewer's perspective. It says we also believe. If you also believe, right, if you have the same spirit of faith, then therefore you should speak according to this word as well, right? So now let's go to the next precept, Isaiah 58:1. This is my son's favorite verse. It's crazy because it's such a long, it's a pretty long verse, but he memorized this like right when he turned 3. So Isaiah 58:1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions and the house of Jacob their sins. Right? So cry aloud. Now, this is more so for when you're in the streets, right? If you're sitting down and you're counseling somebody, right? Say it's your mom or your an elder, your grandma, whoever it is, a friend. You're not gonna scream in their face, right? Obviously, but it means speak up, like say the word with confidence, right? Don't be ashamed of speaking the word. Spare not. Don't spare their feelings, right? Now in Peter it did say that you're supposed to know how you are to answer any man. So if you think about it this way, if let's say for example someone passes away in a family, right? And somebody really needs counsel from the word, okay? I'm not saying you're supposed to spare their feelings, but you're supposed to come in a certain spirit, right? Like it said in Jude, verses, what was it, 21 through 23, or 22 and 23? It said, of some have compassion, right? You can still not spare their feelings, but be compassionate in your speech, right? You're not going to sugarcoat it. You're not going to water down the word, but you can give it to them in a compassionate way, right? If you need to, because it says you're supposed to know how you ought to answer every man. So lift up thy voice like a trumpet. Again, in the streets, if you're lifting up your voice like a trumpet, it's so that everybody can hear, right? But also blowing the trumpet is bringing out this word, right? A trumpet back in the days was used to sound an alarm, letting them know, hey, war is coming, right? Battle is gonna start, right? Or the trumpet was blown on feast days, right? Or on the new moon, right? It was to signal something. So when we're lifting up our voice like a trumpet, we are signaling something. We're signaling the end is coming, right? And we're bringing out this word. And show my people their transgression. So when we bring out this word, we're not supposed to spare people's feelings, but we're supposed to show them, look, this is where you're going wrong, right? These bad things are happening to us because look at what our people are doing. These transgressions they're committing against the Most High, right? And the house of Jacob, their sins. Who is the house of Jacob? It's Israel, right? Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So we're supposed to show our people their sins. Now, again, there's a certain manner to answer each person, right? There's a certain way that you are supposed to bring out the word to certain people. Some have compassion, of some have fear. Of some people are just gonna butt heads with you, man. As a matter of fact, Ak, if you could pull up, it's in Ezekiel. It says, "I will make your forehead hard against theirs." Make your forehead hard against theirs, or their forehead. Baba Kasha. There's some people you're just gonna butt heads with, and then at that point in time, through discernment and through knowledge and wisdom, you're gonna know, you know what, I'm gonna step away from the situation, or you're gonna know, you know what, the Most High put the Spirit on me to I'm just gonna hit them with these precepts. No, I'm not gonna let them lie on the Most High. I'm not going to let them teach the wrong way, right? So let's go to the water. He pulled up the Jude 122. So it says, of some have compassion, making a difference. Some you need to know you're going to have more compassion than others. Salakia, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire. So you need to know how to answer different people, right? And this comes with, I can say, like from my personal experience, I studied a little bit of psychology before I came into the truth, right? Just reading books. And I think that has helped. I definitely know the Most High put that experience, and that even though it's worldly knowledge, right? I feel like I can read people better, and I can know, you know what, this person needs to hear more of these type of verses. This person needs more hear more of these type of verses, right? So definitely the Most High made that happen for a reason. So this is Ezekiel 3:8. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and thy forehead strong against their forehead. Right? It comes to a point sometimes, especially, with Israel, man. Salakia. With Israel, we're hard-headed and we're stiff-necked, right? Our people, for the most part, the majority of our people are hard-headed and stiff-necked. So if they are like that with the Most High, right, a lot of times it comes down to them being like that with us as well, right? It comes down to the point where you just got to make your forehead hard against their forehead. And especially in the sense of people are trying to lie on the Most High, you've got to just make your forehead hard against them and give them the word, give them the truth of the word, right? Because a lot of times, and that's going to go along with this precept, Isaiah 30:10. A lot of times this happens, right? Isaiah 30:10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, right? See, a lot of people want those smooth things, prophesy deceits. Read it again, which say to the seers, see not, right? So we've talked about this a few times on the last few lives. We're blessed to have eyes to see, right? That's a huge blessing in itself. If we didn't have eyes to see these things spiritually, we wouldn't even have a chance in this thing, man. We would be out in the world, and we would be in the congregation of the dead, right? So which say to the seers, see not. Now a lot of people that are spiritually blind, they don't want you to see this truth. They're like, just turn away from it, man. Don't even pay attention to that. Don't even look at that, right? And to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. A lot of people, when you bring out the truth, they don't want you to bring out the truth. Don't bring out the truth. That's the right thing according to the Most High, right? Speak unto us smooth things, right? That's those people with itching ears. They want to hear something good to them, right? Something smooth, something that they like to hear, right? Prophesy deceits. In other words, don't prophesy the truth, right? And a lot of people do this subconsciously. When you're trying to show them Bible verses or bring out the word, whatever, and they try and change the subject real quick, right? No, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this, right? That happens a lot. So let's see, it's already 12 o'clock. We've been on here an hour and a half. Let me just go over a couple verses real quick. Let me go back to the beginning. And tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow I'm most likely gonna go live with another brother as well. And then Saturday, I'm most high willing, either Saturday or Sunday, I'm gonna go live with a couple brothers. So the whole point of this study, right? Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. You need to know that life and death is in our words, man. The things that you say, you are going to be judged by, right? Which brings us to Matthew 12:36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. The things that we're saying, hey, the Most High in the day of judgment, he's going to bring them up, and you're going to have to give account of them, right? Verse 37. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. So you can be condemned just by the things that you're saying, right? So what do we have to do then? Romans 3:4. Yahweh forbid. Yea, let Yahweh be true, but every man a liar. So what we need to do is let the Most High be true, and every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings. So we have to come with as it is written, so that we can be justified in the things that we're saying, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. And when you're being judged, if you want to overcome that, you better bring as it is written, right? So you can be justified, because if you're coming with your own vain opinion, you're not going to be justified when you're judged, right? So this is what we got to do. Proverbs 21 and 23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. We need to learn to keep our tongue. Bite your tongue, like they say, right? Sometimes you just got to bite your tongue, man. Hold it in until later. Like it says, a fool uttereth all his mouth or all his mind, but a wise man hold it in until after, right? Proverbs 28 and 7. Whoso keepeth, oh, Salakia, that actually was a, let's go to Proverbs 16 and 23. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. This is what we all need to do. No matter if you've been in the truth 2 days or 22 years, right? The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. You need to learn, and you need to add this wisdom to your lips, right? The more you speak, more every time you speak, it needs to be more and more wisdom, right? Not just worldliness. John 7 and 38. He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. That living water is this word, right? It's the doctrine of the Most High. If you believe in Yahushua, who is the word, John 1 and 1, then you are going to start being able to speak this wisdom, right? As you start keeping the word and believing the word, you are going to be able to speak wisdom, right? Romans 3 and 1. What advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? What does it profit you to be an Israelite? Right? What does it profit? Some people would say nothing. Romans 3 and 2. Much every way profits you to be an Israelite if you're going to follow the Most High in truth and sincerity and humility. Chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High. This word is for us. The oracles, the prophets, the word, it's all for us, right? And that is to our benefit. But since it's for us, we have to do this. 1 Peter 4 and 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of the Most High. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Yahweh giveth, that Yahweh in all things may be glorified through Hamashiach Yahushai, or Bahasham Hamashiach Yahushai. Right? So we are the oracles of the Most High, and we need to speak, right, to the ability which the Most High gave us, right? Don't hold your wisdom. If he gave you wisdom, it's for a reason. It's so that you could help others, so that you could help yourself as well, right? And when you do this, you are glorifying the Most High, right? You are glorifying him through his son, which is the word, right? Let me go down. Ephesians 4 and 22, that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lusts. The old conversations we would have that were worldly and just that were corrupted with all the lusts of the world. We got to put that to the side, man. We can't be trying to mix oil with water, right? We can't be hot and cold at the same time, right? Verse 23, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. When you renew your mind through the word, if you're truly renewing your mind, your speech is going to change along with it, right? Because your speech comes out of your mind, right? Ephesians 5 and 4, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. So it's better to just be giving thanks and saying all praise to the Most High than to be talking foolishly and filthily, right? Talking all this filth, right? Which I think there's some brothers that think it's fine to talk filthy, right? But me, I'm going to follow this precept. Because why? 1 Corinthians 10 and 23. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. So how is it? Expedient means profitable. Okay? Expedient means profitable. Just because it's not a law, you're not sinning, saying F this and mother that and this mother, you know what I'm saying? That's how is it profiting you to do this? All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Right? You can give a whole lesson and edify people without using all of that type of language. right? But let me tell you, a lot of brothers would go against that, right? A lot of brothers be like, nah, Ak, you're off for that. But it says right here, man, it's not, if it's not profiting you, right? If it's not you're not edifying anybody by cursing all the damn time, right? That's not edifying anybody. So this is Sirach 44:1. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. Yahweh hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. So through his power, right, through his spirit and through the word, he brought glory through these men, because these men were praising the Most High. These men were making it known that their wisdom and all the great things they did came because of the Most High, right? Verse 3, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. So these powerful kings, these powerful men, the old rulers of Israel, they gave counsel by their understanding. They understood the word, they got knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and then they gave counsel to the people. They declared prophecies to the people, right? Verse 4, leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people. Wise and eloquent are their instructions, right? These leaders of the people by their counsels, they became leaders of the people because they could counsel their people, right? And by their knowledge of learning meet for the people. Their knowledge, their counsel, their learning was good for the people. Wise and eloquent are their instructions. And that's how we have to speak and try to speak at all times, especially when you are giving the word. Because like I said, all eyes are on you when you consider yourself a Hebrew Israelite that follows Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. We have to be wise and eloquent in the way we speak and in the way we carry and conduct ourselves, right? Leviticus 20:26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, Yahweh, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. So how are people, think about it this way. Let's say you're not bringing out the word. You're just hanging out somewhere, and you're around a bunch of worldly people, right? And besides the fringes, if you're not bringing out the word, right, no one's going to specifically know you're a Hebrew Israelite, right, that you're following the Most High. So if you sound just like everybody else in the crowd, mother this and that, and talking filthy and all these unprofitable sayings, how are they going to know that you're set apart, right? The kings, everybody wants to call themselves a king, but we just read that the kings of Israel were wise and eloquent in their speech. So why shouldn't we be wise and eloquent in our speech, right? We shouldn't just sound like another dude off the street that's in a gang or doing all these worldly things, right? Because Yahweh is holy, so we should be holy as well, right? So Sirach 4:29, be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. Don't be hasty in the things that you say, right? Especially when you're angry. Ephesians 4:26. Be ye angry and sin not, right? Colossians 4:6. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. You need to know that there's certain ways to speak to one person, certain ways to speak to another person. And that, like I said, that comes along with discernment, right? Jude 1:22. And if some have compassion, making a difference, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire. You have to know how to answer men, right? And women. Either way. Let me go back down on the comments. That's a good precept right there for Isaiah 30:10. So we'll finish with these two verses. Isaiah 30:10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceits, right? People don't want to hear the word. That's Those are the good things. Those are the right things, right? And if if you consider yourself a prophet, or if anybody considers you a prophet, even if you don't consider yourself a prophet, if you are bringing out the word, you are technically prophesying, right? You are saying the things that the Most High said were going to come to pass. So you can't prophesy deceits. You can't mix up the word with worldliness, right? You can't mix the worldly doctrines with the word. And that comes down to, again, like I said, speaking filthily, speaking in an unprofitable way, in an uneloquent way, with cursing all the time, it's not going to profit you nothing, right? So 2 Timothy 4:3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, right? And like we said yesterday with the precepts study we did, right? It's not just about following the law. It's about following the word. The whole Bible is doctrine, right? For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. They got them itching ears. They just want to hear what they want to hear, right? So they're going to appoint teachers amongst themselves, which this happens, man. This is happening right now as we speak. It's happened these past years. It's happening right now. People don't want sound doctrine. People don't want the word. People don't want Yahushai. So they bring in these other men and appoint teachers, right? They heap to themselves teachers having itching ears because they know they're going to say what they want to hear, right? So the whole point of the whole lesson is that if we are a set apart people, our speech needs to be set apart as well, right? So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it. Tomorrow I'll be on Most High willing with another brother. So I'm gonna give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Shalom to all you brothers and sisters. Shalom.